Hi, my name's Dan Kaufman, and this is Grace Over Guilt. So, Monday we talked about a no, a job that I turned down because it was a renovation dressed as a rescue. Wednesday we talked about the boring, invisible, unglamorous, just sucking work that of building the new kinds of things, block by block. And today I want to give you a single moment, a scene, because sometimes the whole lesson is hiding inside one super small thing that you almost did on autopilot, but catching yourself right before you do it. So this is one of those. So it's the holiday weekend a couple weeks ago, 4th of July weekend to be precise. And I'm working at Starbucks, just needed to change the scenery. Sheldon's sitting by me. Um, and I'm working in Notion, and I'm not in Notion because I'm some kind of martyr about it. I'm not working on a holiday weekend, because I'm better than anybody else. Just grinding away while everybody else has a life. I'm in there because it's quiet, and I like to work when it's quiet because when I do that work, stuff actually gets done. So the good stuff never gets done in the noise because there's too many distractions. It gets done in the quiet. So there I am, headphones in, who's working away. I'm in the Q3 command center, which is, just what I call the place where I run the quarter, all of it in just one spot. I'm doing some housekeeping, cleaning up from Q2 to Q3. It's unglamorous. It's boring. It's not hard work at all. It's kind of monotonous in a lot of ways. So it's the exact kind of boring, invisible rep that we talked about on Wednesday. So I'm cleaning up the battle team roster, the group of people that I'm actually in the trenches with week after week, getting it right before the new quarter starts because with our battle team and stuff, it started on July 6th, and just tidying the list. And that's all it was supposed to be. Just a little bit of cleanup, 5, 10, 15 minutes. Nothing major. But then I hit two names. Two people who had been on the team and then just at some point quietly stopped showing up. Now, I want to be clear, they're not bad guys. There's nothing dramatic here. Nobody blew up, nobody burned a bridge. One of them had gone to urgent care, and the timing of our weekly call just didn't work for him. And he genuinely needed to step back, which is about as fair and human as a reason as there is on this earth. And the other one had sent me a message a while back. He said other activities required his time and focus. He said, and I remember the exact phrasing because it stuck with me. It isn't goodbye forever, it's goodbye for now. And I just sat there with the cursor hovering over those two rows for a little bit longer than I should have because I could feel a decision sitting there that was bigger than the admin tasks. But here's what old Dan does in that exact moment. And old Dan was right there with me, hand on my shoulder, ready to whispering in my ear, ready to go to work. Old Dan chases them. Old Dan sends the follow up. He makes the case. He reminds them what they signed up for. He tries to hold the room together by keeping every single seat filled because to old Dan, an empty seat is not just an empty seat. It's an empty seat is evidence. It's proof. It's a little piece of, see, you're not good enough. You couldn't keep them. People leave you, and you're not enough to hold the room together on your own. And I want to slow all the way down here because I think a whole lot of you know this exact feeling in some way, shape, or form in your life, even if it's got nothing to do with the team or roster or anything else. Maybe for you it's a friendship that drifted. Maybe it's a relationship, and you keep sending the texts that get shorter and slower replies until they stop coming back at all, but you keep sending them. Maybe it's a client who is clearly halfway out the door and you keep discounting and over delivering and bending over backwards to hold on to that relationship for somebody that's already mentally gone. Maybe it's a version of a relationship that ended a long time ago, and you're still quietly, in 100 small ways, trying to talk somebody back into the room they've already walked out of and checked out. That chasing, it feels like loyalty, right? It feels noble, but it feels like you're being the bigger person, the one who fights for people, the one who never gives up on anybody. And we tell ourselves a really flattering story about it. But if I'm being really dead honest about it in my own version of it, and I have to be, it usually wasn't about them at all. It was all about me. It was about not having to feel that empty seat. It was about keeping the count high so I didn't have to sit with an empty chair, what an empty chair made me quietly believe about myself. That's not loyalty. and I probably try to justify it a little too much. And because it's fear wearing loyalty's coat, so it looks good in the mirror. And I think this reflex is wired deep down inside of us. This thing where the full room feels safe and an emptying one feels like danger. Somewhere way back, being part of a big group meant you survived, and being left alone meant you didn't. So a chair emptying out can trip an alarm that it's a lot older than actually the actual situation deserves. It's worth knowing that, because once you understand the alarm is ancient and mostly lying to you, you get a beat of space. You can feel the pull. You can feel the pull to chase, name it as an old alarm, and choose not to obey it. The feeling doesn't make you chase. Obeying the feeling does. And you can feel a thing all the way through without letting it drive you. And here's the thing that the chase actually does. The part we never account for. It doesn't just fail to bring people back, it quietly insults the people that stayed. Because all that energy you're pouring into the person halfway out the door is energy you're not pouring into the people sitting right in front of you who chose and are still choosing to be there. You're rewarding leaving with your attention and taking staying for granted. And people feel that, even if they never say it. So this time I didn't do any of it. And I want to be honest, that took a lot because the pull to chase is old and it's really, really strong. And it just comes from the people pleaser in me. So I changed the status to inactive. I moved the 2 rows to the archive, no speech, no guilt trip, no second thoughts about messaging them, no third message pretending to be a friendly check in when we both knew it was really a plea. If it's goodbye for now, then it's goodbye for now. And I'm going to take him as it is exact word. I'm not going to argue somebody back into a room they've chosen to walk out of. That's their call to make, fully and honestly respecting that, instead of fighting it as its own kind of care, maybe the higher kind. And I want to say something about the clean version of letting go, because I think we badly confuse two things, and the confusion keeps us stuck for years. There's a real difference between abandoning somebody and releasing them. Abandoning is cold. It's all about you. It's slamming the door, changing the locks, ghosting them, and making them a villain so you feel justified. Releasing is completely different. Releasing is just opening up your hand. It's saying, I'm not going to hold you here by the wrist. The door isn't locked. It's goodbye for now. And the road runs both ways, and you're always welcome back in this room whenever you're ready. But I'm not going to spend my one supply of energy dragging you into a seat that you don't want to sit at right now. There's real peace in that. It's not bitter, it's not punishment. It's just clear, and it's crystal clear. And the clear is the kind of respect for them and for yourself. And letting go clean without the guilt trip is actually a thing that keeps the door open, because nobody wants to come back to a room where they feel like they owe you an apology for having left, or they feel like they owe you for something else if and when they do want to come back. The clean release is what makes a real return possible someday. And when I looked at what was left, there were 7 names, 7 people who are actually there, including myself. People who show up when it's time to show up, who never need to be chased or convinced or reminded that they signed up in the first place. 7. And I'll let that number just sit there for a second, because it's so easy to blow right past it on your way to counting and mourning the ones who left. We do that constantly. We fixate on the 2 empty chairs and go blind to the 7 full ones. 7 people who chose to still be in the room. That's not a small thing. That's the whole thing. And that's the thought that landed on me, sitting there in Starbucks on that holiday weekend with the cleaned up roster on the screen in front of me. This is the room. This one, right here. Not the room I wish I had. Not the room with every seat filled and everybody invited still sitting in it. Not the imaginary, bigger, better attended room I keep quietly comparing myself, comparing this one and finding it short. That room, it's actually here. The real one. The one with 7 people who continue to show up and build for them. And not with some big announcement, not with a speech about loyalty and honoring the ones who stayed. Nobody needs that freaking speech. It's just quiet. And it's in how I spend the next quarter, and where my attention actually goes when I open up the command center on a Tuesday. Build for the people who are actually in the room, not for the ghosts of the ones who left, not for the imaginary crowd I wish would just show up. So now, build for them is easy to say and a little vague. So let me make it a little bit more concrete, because I don't want to leave you with a nice phrase and nothing to do with it. When I say build the room for those that stayed, I mean three specific things. And you can run all three against your own life this week. So, number one, they get your best energy, not your leftovers. So, this was Monday's whole lesson, just flipped around and pointed at people. The ones who showed up should get your sharp hours, your real presence, your actual attention, not a fried, distracted, half there version of you that's left over after you spent the day chasing people who don't want to be in that room. Your best goes to the best goes to the ones that stayed. That's the rule. Number two, you go deep instead of wide. Every instinct pushes you the other way, towards more, towards bigger, towards getting the numbers back up. But a room doesn't get stronger by getting bigger, it gets stronger by going deeper. Actually knowing your seven, showing up for them personally, making the things better, making the thing better and better for the people already in the seats, instead of always straining and reaching to fill new ones. Depth beats width every single time, and almost nobody believes that until they've watched a big shallow room fall apart and a small deep one hold. And lastly, number three, you stop making them compete with ghosts. This is the one that quietly poisons everything if you let it. The people who stayed should never have to feel like second choice, like they only have your attention because the people who showed up, who actually wanted, went and left. Don't do that to them. Don't make the ones who showed up audition against the memory of the ones who didn't. Let them be to the point, fully, not the backup plan you settled for. People can feel the difference between being chosen and being settled for, and it changes everything about how they show up for you in return. And that's the shift. It's not huge, it's a quiet one, but it changes everything. And the room doesn't get stronger by filling seats, and again, let me say that again slowly, because it runs against everything we're taught to chase. The room does not get stronger by filling seats. It gets stronger by protecting the ones that are already showing up. Those are two completely different jobs. And most of us are pouring ourselves into the wrong one. We're so obsessed with replacing whoever left, whatever left, whether it's people, things, that type of thing, making more money. We get so fixated on getting the number back up to where it was that we neglect the actual living people sitting in front of us who chose to stay. And you have to do the math on your attention, because it's a fixed budget. Whether you agree with that, like it, hate it, that's a simple fact. You don't have unlimited time and you don't have unlimited care to give. Nobody has that. So every single unit of that is a choice. Every minute I spend chasing the two who left is a minute stolen from the seven who stayed. It's not free. It doesn't come with, from some separate account. It comes out of them. It comes out of the people who actually chose to show up for me and for the rest of the team. And the seven who stayed are the entire reason there is anything here worth building in the first place. They're not a consolation prize for the ones I lost. They're the point. They're the part that took me away. That's Let me rephrase that. That's the part that took me way, way too long to learn, and I'll own it. I'll own that it took me embarrassingly long. For years, I measured how full the room was, how many people liked me, what kind of attention I was getting. That's the whole metric. How many, how big, what's the head count? Now I measure it by who's still standing in it after the chasing stops, because those are two completely different rooms. A room that's full because you're exhausting yourself, keeping it full is not strong. It's a performance you're barely holding up, and everybody in it can sort of tell. A small room full of people who actually chose it, who show up on their own without being managed, that room can carry real weight, real impact as well. To borrow Wednesday's word, that room is load bearing. And this shows up everywhere once you have the eyes for it. It's true of friendships, relationships, whether two or three real ones carry you through things a phone full of contacts never could. It's true in business, where a handful of clients who generally love what you do beat a long list of lukewarm ones who are one bad week from leaving. It's true of building anything at all for anybody. You can spend your whole life anxious about the ones who didn't stay, refreshing that number, mourning the empty chairs, or you could turn towards the people who actually are there, actually listening, actually in it with you. and pour everything you've got into building them the best thing you possibly can. One of those roads makes you smaller and more frantic. The last one makes you more steady. The other one makes you more steadier. And same exact room, completely different eyes. And this whole week has been one lesson from three different angles. The first no on Monday, the boring build on Wednesday, and now the smaller, realer, stronger room. Every single one of them is in the same move, is the same move underneath. Choosing what's true and load bearing over what's big and hollow. Choosing the real thing over the impressive looking one. That's the through line. That's the whole thing. So here's the whole thing as plainly I can put it. You don't build for who you wish was there, you build for who shows up. So look at your own room this week, your real one, your friends, your relationships, the people who actually pick up, the team that shows up, the clients who actually stay, and in just the conversations you have, the handful of people that show up for you without being chased, managed, or guilt tripped into it. And I want you to do the hard thing, which is stop counting the empty chairs. Stop wishing for more. Stop running the tally of who drifted and who left and who you wish had stayed. Turn around and actually look at the ones who are filled. Really see them. Then put your energy there. Protect that. Build that for that. Build for that. They've earned it just by staying. And you've been taking it for granted while you chase that door. And so here's the quiet promise that I'll leave you about this. The day you stop chasing the room that you wish you had and you start generally pouring into the room you've actually got, the room tends to grow anyway. Not because you chased, because people can feel the difference between managed and being valued. And they move towards the place where they feel valued. They bring people with them. But, and this is really important, you can't do that. You can't do it for that. If you're pouring into the seven as a strategy to get set to 70, they'll feel that too, and it won't work. You'll do it because it's right, because they showed up. The growth, if it comes, is a byproduct. The people were always the point. The room that stays is the only room worth building in it. So that's the moment for today. So this is Grace Over Guilt. My name is Dan Kaufman. Sunday, we'll be sending out an email called for the reset, and where we're just going to put this whole week together, the no, the boring build, and the room that stayed. So if you're not subscribed to that, go to news.grace-over-guilt.com and sign up, and you'll be getting that on Sunday. So until then, go take care of yourself, the ones who showed up, and we'll talk soon.